Hi, it's Gary. Welcome to today's video. It's the end of November. As I'm recording this, it's a wet and windy day. I can hear the wind and the rain outside. It's time now to take a look at how I've got on with the pens I've been using during this month. This month, it was a use me up month. It was about finishing off pens, getting them cleaned out. I've managed to empty about half a dozen different pens, and I've got quite a few. There's that small amount of ink in them. I'm just going to clean them out anyway. So it's been a really good month for getting through those pens. Join me now down on the mat. We'll look at the pens I started the month with. We'll give them a ranking, and then we'll briefly discuss the other pens that I've used this month. Welcome down to the mat. So we started the month. We had a Jinhao 159, a Jinhao 100, the Wingsung 698, Retro 51 Tornado, Ranga Model 5, and a Pilot Custom Heritage 92. Let's rank these. So coming in at position number 6, that goes to the Jinhao 159. We started the month with a broad nib that came off a Conklin All-American. It's a nib I've struggled with. Really did not get on with it this month. It was very stiff. Yes, it was smooth, but I had an awful time writing with it. After I'd emptied it, I thought, well, I'm going to swap over and put a different nib in. But Gary being clumsy, I actually managed to break the feed, so I didn't bother putting another nib into here. It's been a disappointing pen. Not the 159, I like the shape of it, I like the feel of it, I like the weight of it. It's just I was really struggling with the nib. I was getting lots of hard starts. Once it started writing, it was beautiful. It was really juicy. I was seeing plenty of sheen coming through in the ink. The problem was it would just dry out so quickly and was just really not something I could use on a day-to-day basis. For this reason, it comes in at position number 6. So that was the Jinhao 159. Position number 5. I thought long and hard on this, and I also thought about the reasons why it's coming in at number 5. I decided it's going to go to the Wingsung 698. Now this pen, I've got a 14 karat gold nib on it. This is a lucky nib. What I've done is I've given this a really good clean. I haven't put any more ink in it yet. I pulled out the nib and the feed, and I put them both through my Stonic cleaner. Then what I've tried to do is put them back together. When I was writing with it this month, what I was finding is there wasn't a lot of this nib showing up after the end of the feed. And I was wondering if that was maybe impacting a little bit. So I've tried to give a little bit more length on the nib after the feed. But it was quite difficult because it wanted to go further down. Hopefully though, when I do put some more ink in that, it will be a lot better. Now the ink in here, Diamine All the Best, has got a sheen and a shimmer. Didn't really see much of that coming out in the writing. I mean, we can see here a little bit, but I was finding because the nib's so fine, it was really struggling to show any of that character of the ink. When I was writing with the pen, it's very, very sensitive to pressure. Slightest bit of pressure, it would start to railroad. That's why I'm hoping that I've repositioned that nib slightly better on the feed. It's a nice pen overall. You know, I like the feel of it. Could do with being a little bit wider. Feels comfortable to use though. I like this at the top here. So it's a piston filler, but it's got like this locking cap. So at the moment that's open, so I can move the piston. Not sure if you can see that on the camera. But once the piston's up at the top, I can press that down and then lock that in place. So that means it's not going to move. But because I was struggling to write, because I was getting all this railroading, so I was having to spend a lot of time thinking when I was writing instead of just being able to get the thoughts out of my head, I've decided this comes in at position number 5. So that was the Wingsung 698. Just going to move the paper up slightly. We don't need to see position 6 anymore. That way we can get all the other pens. There we go. They're all on the page. Position number 4. I'm giving that to the Retro 51 Tornado. I love this pen. It's in this antique copper finish. I think it feels really nice. It's very smooth. It's very tactile. I like the way I'm starting to see some more darkness here. So we're getting some nice interest to the metal as well. The nib on this, it's a 1.5 stub nib. There we go. And even after a clean, you can still see, I got rid of it. Must have just been a little bit of wetness inside the cap. Again, this is another one. In fact, I think all the pens, apart from the Pilot Custom Heritage 92 and the Ranga, I've pulled out the nib and feed and given it a good clean. It's a nice pen though, but again, I was getting a lot of railroading with it. To me, if I'm getting issues when I'm writing, it's not really helping me. Hopefully, because I've now given this a good clean, that may get away from this concept or this idea of the railroading. This is a piston filler. Now, one of the things I'm also hoping by repositioning the nib and feed, by giving that good clean out, it may solve the problem that I had with the converter. The converter didn't seem to go in very solidly, whereas it's now a little bit better, not perfect. And one of the things I found is just in my day-to-day use, the converter would actually come out a little bit and then I'd get an ink flow issue. The ink would be starved. I'd have to open it all up and then reconnect the converter. Fortunately, never had any issues with the ink, though it never leaked anywhere. It's a nice pen, I say. It's a really nice pen to use. Again, could do with being a little bit wider, but that's just me being picky. And I love this finish, but in terms of the whole experience, I'm going to place this at position number 4. So that's the Retro 51 Tornado. Position number 3. To be honest, the reason why this pen is at position number 3 is the ink. It's a nice ink, just does not suit this pen. I was really struggling with it. So this goes to the Ranga Model 5 with Robert Oster vine leaf. This pen is big. What I'm going to do, I'm going to fetch in the Jinhao 159, which is a big pen in its own right. Just look at that size there. My scoring pen, that's a Lamy AL Star. Again, just look at the size difference. It's a big pen, but it's so nice to use. It's got a nice width to it. It's so comfortable in the hand. It's acrylic. It's very light. It's an Indian pen, and it has got a very distinctive smell. Even after about 18 months, which is how long I've had this pen, as soon as I take the cap off, I get the smell straight in my face. So that's something to be aware of. If you've got issues with smell, that you don't like to get smells, may not be a pen for you. This pen comes with a cartridge converter, and that's what I use. There we go, there's a cartridge converter. I see it's empty. Virtually every pen today is empty. It's been a good month for using these up. Loads of threads though, and it's all acrylic. This is a pen, if you wanted to, I would think you would be able to, maybe with some silicone grease, possibly an O-ring, but you could possibly eyedropper this. I've got no intention to do that. It's such a big pen. If I eyedroppered it, I think the ink would last me well over a year. And I do like to change my inks fairly frequently. I'd say the thing that let it down to me, stop that rolling, again, an issue we've got. No roll stop, so it does roll easy. I'd say the issue then, it was the ink. I think the ink, it's just too bright. It just didn't really seem to suit the pen. And it's a shame. I mean, yes, this vine leaf, it's only a sample, so it's not too much of an issue for me. But I was just finding, when I was doing my normal day-to-day note-taking, the ink just seemed a little bit on the pale side. For all this reason, I've decided we're going for position number 3. So that's the Ranga Model 5. Position number 2. Well, it's a choice of 2, isn't it? We've still got a Jinhao 100 left, and we've still got the Pilot Custom Heritage 92. Position number 2, well, I've decided to give that to the Jinhao 100. And this had Diamine Poppy Red in it. I will be honest with you, I love this combo, I really do. I like the bright red of the ink, but I like the way it plays off this white here. Now, an issue I did have is some ink staining. Even after going through a sonic cleaner, that ink staining is still there. It's another one where I've pulled the nib and feed, given a really good clean out. What I'm hoping is that to avoid that in the future, my plan is I will fill this with a blunt nose syringe rather than dipping the actual nib into the ink. Really nice writer. I've had 3 fills of Diamine Poppy Red in here in about 3 months. I've decided to rest it now because I've got lots of other pens there that I want to use. But even so, it was nice, it's enjoyable. We get little bits of shading coming through in the writing. Not a lot, but I do notice some. It's not an overly wet combo, so it's nice when I'm doing lots of note taking. Really pretty pen to look at as well. I like these white pens, I really do. I'd have liked maybe if it was silver trim rather than gold colour. Again, I can understand why though. For all these reasons, we come in at position number 2. So this is the Jinhao 100. Which means by default, I'm going to move the page up just so we can see it all there completely. The winning pen for this month is the Pilot Custom Heritage 92, which has got a 14 karat gold medium nib, and that's inked up with Van Diemen's Apple Island Green. Here's the pen. This is a nice pen. It's very simple looking. It's the Custom Heritage, so it's got the flat tops, as opposed to the Custom, which has got the more torpedo-y shape. We've got this gorgeous nib. The nib is very bouncy, really soft, really nice to write with. It's a piston filling pen. You can see there we've got the piston mechanism inside. Let me just work that up and down. Hopefully that's coming over on camera. Otherwise that's a fairly boring sequence, isn't it? I like the transparent nature. I can see my ink levels at all times. Shape-wise, it's very, very similar to that Wingsong 698. I've just brought that in so you can see them. Very similar, but a completely different writing experience. The ink, the Van Diemen Apple Island Green. This ink I love in this pen. I've tried this ink in a number of different pens and I've really always struggled with it. But here, this just seems to be the perfect combo. I've still got about half a bottle of this ink left. So going forward, this is the only pen I'm planning to use it with. Which in one respect, yes, it does limit me. But when you find a combo that works, you just want to stick with it, don't you? For all these reasons, we come in with position number 1. So this is the Pilot Custom Heritage 92. I'll just pull that down, just hopefully so we can see them all there on one page. So we've got Pilot Custom Heritage 92, Jinhao 100, Ranga Model 5, the Retro 51 Tornado, the Wingsong 698, and then the Jinhao 159. Going to turn the page over, then we'll look at the pens that I brought in to use as these were running out. On this page, there's no ranking. I'm just going to fetch the pens out in the order they appear. First pen is the TWSBI Draco. Pretty pen. Really like the look of this pen. It's a piston filler and it's got a little ink window. I've got to be honest, for me, I do struggle with this ink window. I think it's just a little bit on the small side. Broad nib. I like the colour. It's like a rose gold colour, which matches the rose gold of the rest of the trim. It's a nice writer. I had in here Pure Pen's People's Charter. This is a gorgeous ink, and if we can see, hopefully, we've got a green sheen to it. I'm hoping this comes over on the camera. I'll try one more time. So it's this really nice, like a burgundy colour with this green, and the sheen is what really fetches it to life. It's sold by Pure Pens, but it's made for them by Diamine. So it's the TWSBI Draco. Move this up, then we can see all the rest of the pens there listed. The next pen that I used was the Wingsong 699. This has got a medium nib, and this is the piston filler version. Now, there is still a little bit of ink in this. It's one of only 2 pens that have got ink left. It's nice. I like this blue colour. If I take the cap off, we can see we've got a medium nib, steel nib. So although the pen itself does look very, very similar to a Pilot Custom 823, this is a steel nibbed version. I have had in the past the vacuum filling version of this, but the actual filling mechanism, the top here, broke the first time I used it. So that's why when I replaced it, I made sure I got a piston filler. Had no problems with this And this is the 4th ink I've had in here, so it's been used quite a bit. It's a nice blue, as I've said. The section is nice. The pen feels comfortable to use. This is just about the right width for me. Nib's a bit on the stiff side, but to be honest, you expect that with it being the Wingsung 699. It's still nice to write with. And as I say, we've still got ink in this one, which is that Pilot Blue. The Pilot Blue actually came with the Pilot Custom 823. And yeah, it's alright, but it's not an ink that really jumps out at me. The next pen is the TWSBI VAC 700R in the Iris. As you can tell, this one is another one that's empty. It's another one where I actually pulled the nib and gave it a good clean after I'd finished using it. I like this pen, it's comfortable. I like the way it fills. It hits an awful lot of ink. So we've got the vacuum mechanism. This is a downside with this filling mechanism. I don't know how many times I've washed this out. Just can't get all these little bits of, I'm going to call it dirty water, coloured water out. So that's just something to be aware of. If you like to get everything out, very difficult to do. What I ended up doing is this does unscrew. So I unscrewed the nib. I was able to take it off and I was able to directly inject water using a syringe. I know I should have this where you can actually see what I'm doing. So that was me being told off. It's a nice pen though. I love the transparent nature. I say the problem is whilst it's empty, you can see all these little bits of the dirty water. The Diamine Red Robin ink, I quite enjoyed that. That was really nice. I don't know how to describe it. It's a red, but it's tending towards the brown side. See some nice shades in here just in this little bit of a sample. In this broad nib, I really enjoy it. It's nice to write with. The pen is nice. The nib, it's got a little bit of stiffness to it. Not enough that you really need to worry about it. And the ink, because it's that vacuum filler, just lasts and lasts and lasts. The next pen I used, again, it's actually another pen that's empty, is the Fuliwen 017. This is a pretty pen. This is quite a busy pen though. You know, we've got blues, we've got greens, we've got yellows, we've got like an orangey red. I think that red might be a good match for that Diamine Red Robin. I may try that in it at some time. Let's take the cap off. The cap unscrews. We've got here a nice number 6 size nib. It's a medium nib. Very smooth, very nice to write with. Again, not an overly bouncy nib, not an overly flexible nib, but still, it's quite nice. Take off there. We've got a converter. Metal fittings though, so not even something you would want to think about eyedroppering. Let's pop that back on. Another one. I've pulled out the nib and feed and gave it a good clean. Nice, good looking pen. I paired that with Robert Oster Australian Sky Blue, which is a really nice, vibrant, well, blue colour, maybe tending towards maybe turquoisey. Love this ink. Again, it's another one. I've only got a sample and I've only got enough left for one more fill of a pen, so I'm not sure what pen I'm going to put it in yet. It's nice. It's a Robert Oster ink. It performs well. I've not had any issues with any Robert Oster inks performing in any of my pens. The next pen, the Opus 88 Koloro. This is in teal and blue. So the blue, that's ebonite, then we've got acrylic here for the teal colour. This has got a smaller nib, Opus 88 nib. I think it's a number 5 size nib. Writes really well though. It's another one. I love writing with this. You get a really nice line with it. I'm not going to take it off because there's still a teeniest amount of ink left in here. It will be getting cleaned out though today because it's nearly out. This teal here, yes, it's dark. You do struggle to see the ink level through it because it's so dark. So yeah, that's one potential issue, but I find I can usually see enough that I know how much ink I've got left. This is an eyedropper filler. So to fill it, I say I'm not going to do that. You unscrew here the section off the pen and then eyedropper it. I use a blunt nose syringe. It's also got a shut-off valve. At the moment that valve's open because this is the pen I'm using today. But if you close down the valve. That seals off the section from the body. So if you're going to be travelling, or you're going to have issues with like a lot of temperature change or pressure change, you're minimising the chance of losing the whole pen worth of ink. Just open that up again. This is one of the things I have to make sure I always remember to do, because I'm forever with this, and like my vacuum fillers, is I'm writing away and they stop writing because I haven't opened up the valve. The ink in here is by Pure Pens and it's John Frost. This is another one made for Pure Pens by Diamine. It's actually in the same series as that People's Charter, in a series called the Chartist series. But just look at this. This, I'm going to be very honest with you, it's one of my favourite inks. We've got this gorgeous greeny teal colour, but then just look there at all the red there we've got in the sheen. This is a glorious pen to write with. I really enjoy using it. It's a glorious ink to write with. I really enjoy using it. And I'm going to be a little bit, I'm not upset, but I'm going to be a little bit down because I'm going to be putting this pen away for a few months, because if I don't, it's one of the pens that I would always be reaching for. The last pen that I've used this month, this is the Narwhal Nautilus. This is in the Palasia colour. Lovely purples, blues, got pale blue, like a minty type blue. I like here the ink window. You see right through, and I like the way it's shaped as a porthole. It's a piston filler. So if I just work the piston mechanism, oh, there we go. I had that down a bit tight. So there's the mechanism. You can see the mechanism goes well below that porthole. Then as we fetch back up, you can start to see through the porthole again. It's got the nib that I bought with this. This was a double B nib, a Narwhal double broad or extra broad. Don't really see much of a difference between that and the broad that I've got on the VAC 700R. They seem very similar line widths. One thing I will say with this nib, it was over smooth. So during the couple of weeks I've been using this one, what I've been doing is very gently on some micromesh, trying to add a bit of texture to it. I know it seems a bit weird to say that you want texture on a pen, but it was just too smooth, and I was finding I was getting some issues where, because of the smoothness, it wasn't putting the ink down when I was writing. So I've literally just done 3 or 4 passes on micromesh. That's added a bit of texture, and so far that seems to have fixed the issue. But the pen's now empty, so that's going to be going away for a few months. So I'll have to make sure when I next fetch it out that I remember the work I've done, and maybe carry on with adding that little bit of texture to it. The ink in here, Waterman Audacious Red, actually quite suits this nib. A lot of the pens I've had this ink in, the ink has looked more orange than red. Here though, I do see a nice red colour. Again, we've got some nice shading coming through. Really performs well. So that's all the pens that I brought in. Of the 12 pens that I've used, I've got 2 that have still got ink in, one of which will be cleaned out today. So that's been a really good use me up month. The whole idea of these months is to use up pens that are inked, get them put away so that I can then free up to use my other pens. Let me get this out of the way and I'll fetch the pens in for one final look. As you can tell, I've got that many pens that don't fit in my display case. So the pens we've got: Jinhao 159, Wingsun 698, Retro 51 Tornado, Ranga Model 5, so big it won't fit in the camera, Jinhao 100, Pilot Custom Heritage 92, TWSBI Draco, Wingsun 699, TWSBI VAC 700R, Fuliwen 017, Opus 88 Koloro, and then the Narwhal Nautilus. I hope you've enjoyed today's video. What are your thoughts on these pens? Would you have done the ranking any differently? Please drop a comment down below. Let's kickstart the conversation. Please hit the thumbs up button every time you like, every time you comment. Just helps with the YouTube algorithm. If you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel so that you can get new videos as I release them. I'll talk to you again soon.